This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Welcome to Exploring Fredericton Homes. I'm Bailey Lockard.
I'm Chris Turner.
And I'm Elisa Brosi.
In today's episode, we're in cottage country.
We'll be meeting Kate Mammon, who's helped many people find their second home in a cottage.
This was the last addition to the house, and it's probably the nicest addition.
So Kate, you're a realtor. What do you think draws people to buy this type of property?
I have found that throughout my years that older people tend to buy a property like this, people who are about to retire, and they're thinking, you know what, I want to have some fun during my retirement. But along with that, there's not just the retirement, it's the retirement plus the thought of, okay, this will be in my family. If I buy this now, this is going to be in my family for generations to come.
So it's more or less an investment opportunity as well as, you know, keeping it in the family, enjoying those memories together?
Yes, I would say so, yeah. And of course, then you've got the Gen Xers on the other hand, who look at something like this and say, okay, I can have a couple of fabulous months here during the summer, but I can also rent it out. You know, this Airbnb notion is so big now.
It is. It's growing quite popular, actually. So that's great. I think people also see it as an opportunity, exactly like you said, to generate some sort of income when it's difficult to do so currently.
Yeah.
Right. Do you find it's mostly retirees who are buying these properties, or you mentioned Gen Xers are starting to buy them as well?
I would say those two markets specifically.
Okay.
And again, like my client here, she purchased this when the kids were younger, and the kids have had, 8 or 10 years of absolute bliss here. But now they're of an age where they want to explore the world. They love Grand Lake, and they'll always have this incredible impression of Grand Lake in their hearts and in their minds, which will never leave them. But now they're of an age where they say, okay, well, this summer I want to go to Europe, or this summer I want to go to Australia, or,
And you're from Australia as well, aren't
I
you?
am. As if you couldn't tell.
So are there any big differences between Australia and Canada with buying cottage properties?
Well, sure, there are. I suppose the fact that take this open body of water, this is the largest in the province. We don't have a lake quite this big in Victoria, where I'm from. But in Australia, if you look at the coastline we have, most of the properties are oceanfront.
Okay.
Very few are lakefront, whereas here in Canada it's more lakefront and less oceanfront, but same sort of concept. So I suppose people in Australia buy them for similar reasons, but the ownership is different there. You've got 1 in 10, 10% of people here will have a secondary place or a cottage. In Australia, we call them holiday houses, and 3% have holiday houses.
Oh, wow. So that's quite a big difference then.
It is.
So what are the biggest things that you find that draw people to Grand Lake?
It's 40 clicks from Fredericton, so it's very, very close. You can get here in 45 minutes.
Yes, yeah.
That's the beauty of it. So if you've had a hard week, and Friday afternoon comes along, 4 o'clock, boom, pack up your little dilly bag and come on down. And also it means you could get back on a Monday morning. If you got up with the birds on Monday morning, you can be back in the city ready for work, and you've just really had Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, 3 and a bit days to really enjoy your investment or your property or your home. Some people now are taking cottages, which this one's a 3-season one, but they're now taking a cottage and they're developing it into a year-round home. And you know what did that for us? COVID. Yeah. COVID did that for us. So COVID taught us that we can work successfully from home. Big corporation, small corporation, people can work successfully from home without too much ado. And so we, as much as we have to reminisce and I suppose think that COVID was all bad, one thing that it did teach us is that we're adaptable.
So what are some of the biggest attractions in this area that people tend to go to? Like, are there shopping centers close by? Are there restaurants close by? Or is it easily accessible, or would they stick?
It's easily accessible. This whole entire area is easily accessible. Minto is about 23 minutes away. So let's just say you've got 10 people coming this weekend, and it's 10:30 on Sunday morning, and they're coming for brunch, and you think, gosh, I don't have enough eggs. The Harbour One-Stop store just down there, that's where you can get petrol, ice, food, Wheaties. But if you need more general shopping, like if you've got to go and do some supermarket shopping, you can just whiz up to Minto. It's 23 minutes away.
Okay. That's amazing. So everything's close enough by. Yeah.
Close enough by. You've got Bertie's down on Scotchtown Road.
Wow.
And then further down, you've got the Scotchtown Harvest Market, I suppose. They grow their own strawberries. They grow all their own produce. And then I suppose in terms of recreational activity, you've got the lake out here. So what do people like to do on the water? They want to swim. They want to boat. They want to jet ski. They just want to have fun. And the good thing about Grand Lake too is it's got quite a lot of sandbars. So those are natural places to slow down the traffic. And they're natural places just to sit. If you're not a swimmer per se, if you like water but you don't want to get up to here in water, you can just sit on the sandbar and enjoy that too. And that's really good for kids. So all the sorts of water activities. And then of course after a hard day in the water, you can just have a bonfire, weather permitting, and just do some marshmallows and coffee by the fire, and it's great. Hot chocolate.
So it's a great place to make memories.
Absolutely, for old and young and everybody in between.
So most cottages are fairly basic, right? Usually they have the kitchen, maybe one bedroom, maybe two. Can you explain how cottages have evolved throughout the years?
Yes, well, definitely. Let's take this one, for example. This one, see this eave here. This one started here and just finished at the end over there. So it was one box, that was it. And in this box, people would cook, sleep, entertain, eat. Then after this, you can see from the structure that after this box was added onto, the kitchen was next. So this area from here back was next. That was the second addition. The third addition was the bathroom and these two bedrooms. The fourth addition was that area right across the front, the sort of dining room, look out onto the lake area. And the last addition was the master, which we now call the primary.
The primary.
The primary bedroom. That one was there. So then the house was lifted and it was put on a concrete foundation. So you can see that this was the centre of your sitting in what was the centre of the home, the heart of the home, and it's just sort of blossomed out like that. And I do see that a lot.
Do you find it's mostly people in New Brunswick who are buying cottages here, or do you find people from out of provinces are buying here as well?
Actually, quite a lot of out of province. I would say with this particular cottage and with my last one, the picture of the last one was from another province, and I have had quite a few people here from out of province. Look, when I arrived in New Brunswick, I thought to myself, because I'd lived in Toronto and Montreal before, and I thought, gee, this must be the emerald in Canada's crown that nobody's talking about. What's the big secret? Why is everybody keeping this jewel a secret?
Yeah.
And I fell in love with New Brunswick. I absolutely did. And now I think New Brunswick is really getting on the map for good reason.
Yes.
For good reason, because it's got all the right ingredients.
You mentioned that you like to add color to some of your listings. Can you tell me a little bit about this piece? It's beautiful.
Sure. Yes, it is. Look, Ken Doan is by far and away my favourite artist. And he's almost retired now. He still does a few paintings. But he uses colour, and I love colour. And when you've got a blank canvas like this, you know, a splash of colour with the right coloured seating can just pop a house.
So typically with any property that you're going to advertise, what are some of the things that you do to give it a better representation?
Well, I suppose the biggest one, and probably the most important to be truthful, is what you call here staging or decorating or illustrating, enhancing. You know, you've got the bones of a wonderful property here. You know, you've got the wood stove, you've got lots of light, you've got that rustic feel, you've got all the ingredients, but maybe it's missing a bit of colour. So you bring in a bit of colour and just a few things that really subliminally, not openly or overtly, subliminally help the eye to lead to the intrinsic value of the property.
Looking for the best way to get the Major League Baseball games you want to watch? Rogers Super Sports Pack has you covered. With MLB Extra Innings, you'll have a premium ticket to out-of-market regular season games with all games available in HD. Don't miss the action from the games you want from both the American and National Leagues. MLB Extra Innings, part of the Super Sports Pack. For only $35.95 a month, Rogers customers get all this for one all-inclusive price. Order using your remote starting on channel 431 or visit Rogers.com today.
You might be able to go vertical on that.
I am pretty much there, yeah.
There's a hole, just the screen is just below that. Oh my goodness gracious, there's a picture-taking fish. That's a picture-taking fish right there.
Nice. When you got kids and you're taking them out and they're just learning how to fish and they can have a day where they catch those little schoolies all day long, I mean, you can't wipe the grin off their face by the time they get home. They're tired.
I think he's over the slot.
He probably is.
It was my daughter's birthday. She was blowing out the candles on her cake when we heard coming from the TV. So we stopped and listened, and it helped us get to safety. That's why when I think of my daughter's birthday, because now she gets to keep having them.
Welcome back to Exploring Fredericton Homes.
In this part of the show, we're going to be meeting Bev Bennett and her family-owned cottage, which has been owned since 1958.
My wife actually is an interior designer by
That
trade.
helps.
That helps,
Yeah.
yes. So if you want to design something, you just marry a designer. I picked some colors, but she knows how to place it. She knows what to buy and what to put. So she's really put the final touches on it, the cozy kind of cool touches. Yeah.
Hey Bev, can you tell me how this cottage came out in your family?
Well, my grandfather bought 20 acres of land here in 1958 for $1,200. And then they built a home over here on that piece of land, burnt to the ground in 1962. And then they built up by the road. At that time, the trees were really short, so they could still have a water view. And then my parents built this little cottage here.
And do you still have all of that land that your grandfather purchased at that time?
We've sold off a few acres and have added certain things. We sold an acre lot over there, and we put the pool in with that money. So the land is sort of fed it's sort of fed itself rather than. And then my parents in '83 built the home next door, the cedar home in the garage, and lived here year round. And then they both passed away in their mid-60s and inherited it to my brother and I, and now we share it. I wanted to leave this in as part of my family and as memories and stuff.
And so who built this property that we're in right now?
Well, my father and a good friend, and a case of beer. True story. And they spent about $1,200, I think, at the time to build it. 1961, the year I was born, they built the cottage. And since then, we put a new sliding door in for $1,200. So that tells you the
Crazy how things have changed.
How things have changed.
Did you ever see yourself selling this property?
No.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Never, no. No, it's, people say if you could sell it, you could retire earlier. And I said, well, I already feel kind of retired when I'm here. So when you sell stuff, you want to buy stuff so you can retire. I said, I already have it. Yeah.
From the outside looking in, if you didn't have this property today and it was for sale, what would you come look at it and would you do it all over again?
It's kind of grown too big. I'm 62 right now, so we're mowing all this lawn, and we're looking after a pool, and we just put 4 new roofs on these properties, new windows in, new windows over there. We hand scraped that house 2 summers ago with palm sanders. It's 2,000 square feet, and that garage is about 800 square feet. My shoulders haven't been the same, but it looks nice, and we've stained it again. So it's a lot of work. If I were to do it over again, I would find a little place like this on a ½ acre of land with some trees in between.
Could you tell me what your fondest memory is here?
I think probably bonfires when I was a teenager. My parents always liked us to stay in the area, and we would just go down the beach. And back in the days of the old Broncos, and put the backs down, and you had the coolers and bonfires, and all the kids from around just came down, and we had a lot of fun.
So since you did that when you were a teenager, do you find there's a little community that you know?
A lot of people still come down, the same.
Really?
Yeah, and now they're down with their grandkids, right? Their kids and grandkids, so that's pretty cool.
I've noticed you have 2 jet skis out front. You guys go on the water quite a bit?
The water system here is amazing. If you scoot straight out there, you go under Jemseg Bridge, and you can go left and you get to Gagetown, and you go left, you go right down to the St. John River. And just under the bridge, you hang a right and you go to Ormocto, Fredericton. There's islands all in between, and there's actually sandy beach islands. They're beautiful. So we just take a couple of cold coolers and make some sandwiches, and we head up and we pull in, and you have a little lunch there and throw a towel down
and spend the day. All right, Bev, can you tell me a little bit about the pool? It must be nice to have right out here.
Yeah, it's nice. I know we have a lot of water out here in the lake. You can swim, but it is nice to go out here. And now we've got I have a nephew now, so just kids love it. It's a nice area to gather too. But my parents put that in 1990. And we've maintained it. It's in great shape. We sold a lot over on the other side, got some money for that, and then we used the money to put the pool.
So Bev, would you say this is a 3-season cottage?
Yes, it's 3-season, and we've discussed over the years about putting insulation in the roof, but I love laying in bed in the morning and listening to the rain on the roof, like I did this morning, pounding on the roof. So we decided to put a heat pump in. And it's made all the difference in the world. So we can come down here now in March, April, whereas before we would come down in the end of May, really. And now we can stay till into November with the heat pump. So it's awesome.
Can you tell me a bit more about the kitchen?
It's pretty much the original. We've painted, and that's pretty much about it. I wanted to keep this place as much as I could, as in sort of memories of my parents and my mom especially, and the kitchen probably is the one area. And she painted up here as well, so I've kept all some of her painting in the house. So it just and I like the open concept.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Over a cup of his special blend, we'll talk to Mohammed Kerala about his story. I know coffee is a very traditional business, but you've done some innovative things. Tell me about this equipment that's innovative.
Yeah, actually this roaster is the state-of-the-art machine in the world right now. We are the only one who has it on the Maritime and Atlantic Canada. It's completely different from other roasters, so the technology itself is different.
My husband is a wonderful man and a great father when he's not drinking. I'm so angry he chooses alcohol over us. If he really loved us, he'd stop drinking, right? My counselor suggested I try Al-Anon. I didn't understand why. I'm not the one with the problem, but I'm glad I went. Do you worry about someone's drinking? You are not alone. Al-Anon or Alateen can help. Call 866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
return to Exploring Fredericton Homes.
In this part of the episode, we're going to be speaking with Adrienne Ewert from Simply Financial, and she's going to explain the ins and outs of buying a cottage property. So, Adrienne, tell me about who you find is buying cottage properties in New Brunswick.
I think that you're seeing a lot of people who have young families that want to have some quality time. You're also seeing some of the retired generation who want to spend more time with the children who have moved out of the house and have the grandkids over. And I'm also seeing a lot of people buying from out of province because New Brunswick is so beautiful and there's so much space and you really get a bang for your buck here.
It is true that we do have one of the lowest housing prices in all of Canada still. Do you think that directly impacts the cottages as a second property?
Absolutely. I think that Canadians are looking at realtor.ca and people from outside of province in particular are seeing how much of a bargain these beautiful homes that you can have your perfect family getaways in. You know, maybe take 2 weeks out of the summer and stay there yourself, and the rest of the time maybe Airbnb it out and make some income off of the property.
So Adrienne, you're with Simply Financial. How long have you been with them?
I've been with the bank for 20 years now.
So would you say in the last 20 years that you've seen an increase of people looking to have cottage properties?
Yeah, I think that now more so than ever, time with your family is #1 priority. And to escape busy cities and have a quiet, peaceful place where you can relax and do your own thing is #1 on people's minds.
A large part of our population has cottage properties. Do you think that's impacted by the amount of waterfront that we have?
Absolutely. And with the amount of waterfront properties there are, I'm sure that you'll see in New Brunswick there's a larger percentage of cottage properties available than there would be in other parts of Canada.
And if somebody was financing a second property, can you still buy that with the traditional 5% down, or does it become 20% down? How does that look when you're trying to buy one?
So if your current primary residence is not insured with CMHC, you can purchase a cottage with a 5% down. You can only have one CMHC insured mortgage at a time. If it's going to be for your use. If it's going to be a rental, then you would need to do 20%.
And have you experienced many people buying them as rentals? Has that been very commonplace?
Yeah, a lot of people like to purchase them as rentals and make the income off of them. Plus, they can scoot into the cottage for a week or two a year themselves.
Tell me a bit about the process of buying a secondary property.
Yeah, so once I connect with my clients, we'll go through the application, make sure the debt ratios and everything like that are in line, confirm where the down payment is coming from. We collect some documents and they can be sent by email. So if someone from out of province is doing a mortgage with me, it's completely can be done over the phone and through email. And we send the request off to be approved by an underwriter. Usually takes about 2 business days to hear back. And then if we need to do an appraisal or something like that, we'll do everything that we can to make sure that everything's good to go for the condition of financing date.
Because things can be done so much online now, do you find that a lot of your clientele is local, or do you find that they're from all over Canada?
I have a nice mixture of both. Right now I'm finding that a lot of my clients are coming from out of province.
Oh wow. And what's the feeling that you get from them of why they're coming here?
Just, it's beautiful here. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I will not vacation outside of New Brunswick in the summer. There is no place more beautiful.
Since 1972, there's more people who have come back in the last 2 years than left in all of that time to go to other provinces?
Absolutely, and I think within the last 3 years, most people have the opportunity to work from home, or at least a larger percentage of the population are able to. And New Brunswick is a beautiful backdrop. Why wouldn't you want to be here?
So what are some of the other aspects of your job that you're finding you're doing a lot?
Right now, pre-approvals have increased. The way that mortgage rates have rapidly increased in the last year and a half, a pre-approval is the best thing that you could possibly do for yourself if you're looking at purchasing a home for yourself or a vacation home. It gives you a rate guarantee for 120 days. You're under zero obligation to the bank. All it does is guarantees yourself that particular rate for that 120-day time frame. By the time you make your purchase, if rates go lower, you'll get the lower rate. But if rates have increased, like they have in the last little while, you'll get the better interest rate between the two.
That's interesting. So one of the other common barriers I find that stops a lot of people from entering home ownership tends to be the down payment. So is there any other ways that you can get the down payment, like from family members or any other things that you could suggest for people starting out?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways that you can come up with the 5% down payment required for purchasing an owner-occupied home. If you don't have your own savings, you can get gifted funds from a direct family member. There's government programs available, which I'd be happy to discuss. There's quite a few of them, and if anybody has any questions, you can certainly go online and see what's available there.
Why do you think we've seen such a small turnover in the amount of cottages over the last few years for something that's been in such high demand?
Probably because it's just been a wonderful escape for people, and they don't want to let go their little piece of paradise. It was a place that people could leave their homes and kind of forget about everything that was happening in the last 3 years.
Adrian, do you find that there's many people moving into the country who are buying cottages as their first property, or do you find that it's primarily residential homes?
It's mainly residential homes. Of course, we'll find a couple here and there. We do have a great newcomers program where we'll take into consideration the client's occupation in their home country. We'll match it up to what the income would translate to here in Canada. So although they might not be fully employed in their specialized field, we can still work at getting the approval for them so they don't have to wait to be a homeowner.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
My name is Matthew Rutledge. I'm a 60 scoop survivor, born in Red Lake. Was adopted from there to Toronto at the age of 4. A lot of our brothers and sisters, family members got separated from each other. That was the government's goal, to break that connection from brothers and sisters. Basically taking the Indian out of the child. Right now, they're still trying to find themselves. Originally, my birth name is Harvey Halverson. In my high school days, teens, I was trying to fit into society. I knew I was First Nations, but I didn't know who I was inside. I think later in life, I started that journey. I am proud, and that's not my man, who I am now. I love life, who I am.
I'm here to find a husband.
Mondays.
Someone who's truly going to show up, love me, and be there for me.
City TV's got all new episodes of The Bachelorette.
Woo! It's fun to be around this girl.
I am falling in love with you.
I am falling in love, but it's with more than one person.
Bring on my man!
The Bachelorette. All new. Mondays, 9/8 Central. On City TV. Or stream on City TV Plus, the app, or citytv.com.
Hi, I'm Damilola Ajibade, the host of The Journey Amplified here on Rogers TV, where we share stories